Welcome back to the podcast Redeemed. We are going to, and I say we, I made the decision, we're just going to kind of scoot through the last little bit here. David,
Boots good and boogie.
as we're just kind of winding up the story, David's going to get old, and he's going to, in the process, as he begins to get old, he's going to start setting up a future king, one of his sons.
Yep.
But before we get to that point, where we left last time, we left Absalom hanging in a tree by his hair.
Nope.
No.
Okay, it wasn't that spot, okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you felt like we had to go back and finish it or
No.
something. Okay.
Right, no, I was just saying, that's not, you should watch.
I was there.
But you forget.
So,
Sophist.
Absalom died, killed by Joab. And then, of course, that led
In
to...
the book of 2 Samuel, if somebody died, just assume it was Joab.
Yeah, pretty much. Which we're going to talk about that here in just a
Oh,
minute.
that's gonna come up again.
Yeah. So Joab took care of the problem, which I understand, you know, as we talked about last time, I understand why he did it. He didn't think David could do it, and so he did it for David. Now, he probably shouldn't have, but he did, and that's where we are. Now, of course, news comes to David, and like I said, I'm just paraphrasing, just going through it, but of course he mourns. Why? Because he loved his son.
His son.
And so there's a big time of mourning there. And then we have David, once again, he returns to Jerusalem, which is a good thing. And in the process of his returning to Jerusalem, we have this person called Sheba, I think is how you say it, or Sheba, who he was a troublemaker. Tried to
Literally
stir
what
up,
it says.
Literally. Yes.
and he tried to stir up another rebellion against David. And it looks like it worked. So all the men of Israel deserted David to follow Sheba, son of Bichri. But the men of Judah stayed by their king, all the way from Jordan to Jerusalem. So you kind of see there, he split them again. So David returns to his palace, realizes he's got a problem, says, hey, we need to take care of this problem. He calls Amasa, which is the commander of his army at that time. I don't know what happened to Joab. But Joab at this point is not the commander of the army.
Yep.
Amasa is. He says, go summon all the troops. This is how much time you have. Amasa doesn't do it quite fast enough. He doesn't do it in the time frame that the king gives him.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I point that out is because we're fixing to have an altercation between Joab and Amasa, which I find interesting because they are cousins.
Yeah.
At least according to the commentary.
So, commentary for why, just before we get past it, why Joab lost his job. There was two factors, and David never suggested that he knew Joab killed Absalom, but he probably suspected it because David knew Joab.
There's Joab.
And so he was probably angry at
Yeah.
Joab for disobeying. And then the second one, and this one is an interesting thought as well. Again, it's just all commentaries, just thoughts. Appointing Amasa the rebel commander was an attempt to win over the men of Judah who had followed Absalom. In this way, he hoped to keep the kingdom from fracturing. So that's, again,
Well,
just...
that must have worked because Judah was the one that...
Right. So
Israel's
it kind of makes a little bit of sense there.
Mhm.
But anyways, that's why Joab lost his job, according to the commentaries.
Now hold on to that thought, because there's some other thoughts that follow along with that as to why this next incident is fixing to take place.
Correct.
So, Joab, I guess, from everything I can see,
He wanted his job back.
He was
yeah,
unemployed.
that might have been it.
He wanted his job
So they were at the Great Rock in Gibeon. Amasa came to meet Joab. Okay, Joab was wearing his military tunic. He had a dagger. He had a dagger strap there in its sheath. And as he stepped forward, it dropped out of its sheath. Joab said to Amasa, "How are you, my brother?" Then Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him, which was a sign of friendship, the right hand. And Amasa was not on his guard against the dagger in Joab's hand.
His left hand.
Plunged it in, spills in intestines, which we were just talking about that. That's an interesting detail to put in there.
Yeah.
But he spilled his entire intestines all over the ground without him being stabbed again.
That's right. One stabbing.
Yeah, and Amasa died. And then Joab and his brother Abishai pursued Sheba, son of Bichri. Now the commentary said one of them was maybe Joab was trying to get his job back,
Mm-hmm.
which could have been, or they said Joab might have suspected Amasa as being an enemy of the king because he was the commander of the
Yes.
rebel army.
And he wasn't doing his job.
Correct. And he didn't get them in there as soon as what David said.
Yep.
So once again, Joab could have been taking care of David, or David could have been, or Joab could have been taking care of himself.
Yep.
Either way,
I would like to know which one it was.
But each time,
That will be a question I ask.
yeah, because each time you look at it, when Joab goes rogue, if you will, there's always not always, but there always seems to be an either it could have been helping David or it could have been helping Joab. Now, I think that at some point in time there was also both were in play.
Yeah.
And I do think a lot of the time he was just trying to do what he thought needed to be done and he knew David wasn't going to do. But there were some times where I believe he acted selfishly. In this case, I do believe he did want his job back.
could have been.
But the killing the commander of the former rebel army also makes a lot of sense.
And he
Who
didn't do exactly what the king told him to do.
Yep.
So I mean, at some point,
And Joab, although Joab, not the biggest following orders guy.
No.
and whenever Joab's name is mentioned, it looks like somebody's gonna die.
Somebody's gonna die.
I
Yeah.
don't know who it is, but somebody's gonna die.
The John Wick of 2 Samuel.
Yeah, he pretty much is. Yeah. So, that transpires. Amasa's dead, and Joab looks like takes over control. They continue to pursue this troublemaker Sheba. To paraphrase, he goes to this town. Joab is fixing to siege this town. There's a woman in there. Says, "Hey, what you doing? Hold on. There's a whole bunch of innocent people in here. We don't want them to die." And Joab basically says, "That's fine. Throw the head over." Throw the head over the wall, we'll be good.
Yeah.
Nope. I hear you.
Yeah. And I'm down. But there's this guy in there, he's lifted a hand against the king, and he's gotta die.
I'm a reasonable man.
I want the head, gotta throw the head.
Yep.
And so she says, "Okay, I'll be right back." Basically, and like I said, I'm paraphrasing.
Not far off.
Yeah, I'll be right back. And basically she talks to him, they cut the guy's head off, they throw it over the wall, Joab sounds a trumpet, and they'll go home.
The fact that that's only like a paragraph in this is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like I want to know more details about this.
And we have no more troublemaker.
No.
And we're done.
And it is funny, it's like, because this Sheba guy thought he had his whole, he had a rebellion going, man, but as soon as it was time and everyone looked around, it's like, listen, are we really going to let Joab wipe us all out?
For this one guy.
For this guy?
All he wants is the
Did you
head.
hear what he did to Amasa?
Yeah.
Did you hear what he did to Absalom?
Hey, I just pictured Queen of Hearts, off of his head.
Done.
Yep.
So anyway, that squashes that. David once again sets up his rule, and then we begin to get some history of what's going on after that. It kind of begins to talk about all the things that David did during his rule. We have a song of praise from him that covers several chapters. We have David's last words, and then he gives some notification to the mighty warriors that were with David, which that's interesting to me because those mighty men did some pretty amazing things.
Such a great TV show.
Yeah, it would make a great TV show if you looked at all the different things they did for David and how they helped him. It's just you could spend probably a few minutes at least talking about them. Then I'm going to kind of scoot. That finishes up 2 Samuel. Now David's getting really old at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
He could not even keep warm
Could not even keep warm.
when they put covers over him.
Yep.
Pretty
So they found a very beautiful servant that would just sleep next to him to keep him warm. He had no sexual relations with him. That's very clear. And the reason we bring this up is because as David gets old, he's beginning to lose his grip once again on the kingdom.
Yep.
And so somebody else tries to set himself up as king. Adonijah, I think is how you say it.
It's a good guess at any.
And so David then begins to realize he's got a problem. And this is not who he wants to be king.
Right.
He's got somebody else in mind. So who does he call in? He calls in Bathsheba. which that should ring a bell
Yep.
if you follow the story through.
That's right. If not, go back a couple episodes.
Mm-hmm. And he talks to her basically and says, "This is who I want to set up as king." And of course, who's that? Solomon. Now, Solomon's got to do a few things because it's not like the king's like, "Okay, you're going to be king," blah 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 blah, and it's all said and done. No.
Yeah. Sign here.
Yep. So Solomon then, at that point, has to basically set up his own throne. He's got to go through the process of doing that, and he does it. He does it, and he's able to establish his own kingdom. Now, like I said, that was very right at the surface, very quick, boom, boom, boom. Now we have Solomon as king. That's where I want to stop for now, because the next thing that follows is one of my favorite stories from one of the kings. I love the request that Solomon makes to God. And I want to talk about that in our next podcast. But there we go. We kind of finished it up. David's done. And now we're moving on to Solomon. Now, unfortunately, Solomon doesn't have quite as many chapters as David did.
No. Half-heart for God.
Which is what I want to
Insert picture now.
which is what I want to point out from Solomon. Solomon starts out real good, but he kind of fades at the end because he lets some bad influences in.
Yes.
And I think that needs to be talked about and pointed out because we do that too. We can start out really good, we're following the Lord, and then all of a sudden little things slip in, and all of a sudden we're directed the wrong way.
Absolutely.
But we're not to that point yet. We're not going to cover that yet. We're going to cover something else first. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.